Hey there, friends. Scott here with the Networking Lair. Thanks for tuning on in. Really appreciate it. Have you ever wanted to play around with a different operating system but not actually get rid of your current operating system? Have you ever wanted to, say, learn Linux but not get rid of your Windows 10 platform? Well, you're in luck. That's exactly what we're going to be discussing today. In today's video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be installing a flavor of Linux known as Ubuntu onto my computer while still keeping my Windows 10 operating system. To do this, we're going to be using something known as a hypervisor. So you might be asking yourself, what actually is a hypervisor? A hypervisor is software that allows you to run different virtual machines on top of your current operating system. So how about we come on over here and we'll get a better idea of how a hypervisor works. Our computer starts with its basic resources. These resources could include our NIC card, which allows for internet access, storage, which allows us to store our items onto our computer, and our RAM that allows for multiple processes to be ran at one time on our computer system. From there, our computer has our base operating system, the system that we have grown to know and quite possibly love. But we may need more. Maybe we want to play around with, well, in this case, a Linux machine. Or what if we want to install Windows Server 2016 on our computer to play around with, but we don't want to change our actual operating system? Behold, the hypervisor. The hypervisor allows us to create a virtual machine onto our computer. This virtual machine, also referred to as a VM, is isolated, meaning that it cannot affect our primary computer's current operating system. Okay, so now that we have an idea of what a hypervisor is, let's head on over to the computer and let's spin up a virtual machine. Come on, let's go have some fun. To begin, we need a hypervisor to run our Linux system on top of our Windows 10 platform. There are many hypervisors out there, but I have been using VirtualBox for a while now and they have a strong platform to work on. So, if you are in need of a hypervisor for this project, I would recommend you download this file right here. You can find VirtualBox at www.virtualbox.org. Now, we need to find the Linux operating system that we want to install onto our computer. For this demonstration, we're going to be using Ubuntu. So we can head on over to our website of ubuntu.com. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over to download. Click onto that. And as you can see, we actually have quite a selection right here. For this demonstration, we're going to be using Ubuntu 18.04 LTS. LTS signifies that it was designed for long-term support. After you click on download, your download should automatically begin. A quick note about this. Make sure that you remember exactly where you are storing this file. Personally, I created a new file listed as operating systems and place all my VMs into that one file so I know exactly where they are at all times. Okay, so now we can go ahead and close out of all this. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up our VirtualBox. As we can see, I already have a couple virtual machines off to the side here. But to create a new one, all we're going to do is we're going to come on up here and we're going to go ahead and click onto New. From there, we're going to go ahead and name our operating system. Me personally, I always name my operating system what the file actually is called. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and do Ubuntu 18.04. And as we can see, it already auto-populated that it is a Linux machine, that the version is Ubuntu, and that it is a 64-bit. So we'll go ahead and click on to Next. On this screen, we will allocate memory for our virtual machine. At this time, I do not have many virtual machines running at once, and when I will be working with this Linux machine, I will not be using my Windows operating system. Because of this, and since I want it to be somewhat responsive, I will give it a good chunk of my RAM. So let's go ahead and move it on up. And after all that, we'll go ahead and click on to Next. On this screen, we are given the options on creating a virtual hard disk. I've always went with Create a Virtual Hard Disk Now option. By doing so, we're implementing storage onto our virtual machine. Go ahead and click on Create. When we get to the hard disk file type, we can see three options: I've always stuck with VDI, which is the default option. Go ahead and click on to Next. We now see the option to dynamically allocate our hard disk. I always choose dynamically allocated, which allows the virtual hard disk to grow if needed. Go ahead and click on to Next. Now we will select the size of our virtual machine's storage. I'm going to bump this up just a bit. Let's go up to... Sure, that works. Alright, now we go ahead and click on Create, and bam! Our virtual machine waits. Kinda. We still need to do a couple more things for the system to be fully up and running. Let's go ahead and click on the Settings. And then we're going to move down to Network. As we can see under Adapter 1, it says that it's attached to NAT. We're going to go ahead and change that over to Bridged Adapter. By doing so, our virtual machine will now be able to communicate with other virtual machines that I may have up and running. Additionally, by clicking onto Bridge Adapter, it allows our VM to receive an IP address via DHCP. Now let's go ahead and move on over to storage. Under Controller IDE, we can see, well, an empty disk. We're going to go ahead and click on that disk. And under Attributes, Optical Drive, we're going to go ahead and click on this disk right here. Do you remember where you put your file for Linux OS? I hope so. As we can see, I have the option to click onto the file itself already, but I am not sure if you will be so lucky. If you are not so lucky, go ahead, choose Virtual Optical Disk File, and then just trace your path back to your ISO file itself. So right now we're just going to go ahead and click on Ubuntu, and we'll go ahead and click on OK. Now comes the moment of truth. Make sure that over on the left hand side here that Ubuntu 18.04 is highlighted, and we'll go ahead and click on to start. Ooh, it works! Alright, now we're going to go ahead and finish up the install. As we can see here, we have two options, either try Ubuntu or install Ubuntu. Let's go ahead and click on to install Ubuntu. We're going to go ahead and choose our keyboard layout, English US and English US for me. Go ahead and click on to continue. What apps would you like to install to start with? Let's go ahead and just do the normal installation. Go ahead and click on to continue. Now this is where it gets scary. That word erase that we are seeing right there, erase just, well, it actually runs shivers down my spine every now and then. However, like we have discussed, this will not harm our actual computer. Go ahead and click on install now. This little guy will pop on up asking to write changes to the disks. Go ahead and click on continue. I am in the Chicagoland area, so we'll go ahead and click on continue. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and fill out this little short form. And as we can see, it's already named my computer. It's already given me a username. Now we're going to go ahead and just put in a password. And I'm going to leave require my password to log in to be checked, because we down the road we might play around with that a little bit. So go ahead and click on to continue. And now we wait. I'm going to go ahead and pause this video now so that you don't have to wait through this whole thing with me. We'll go ahead and we'll be seeing you all shortly. Okay, so that really didn't take all that long. As we can see, it says that our installation is complete and that we need to restart our computer in order to use the new installation. Now, remember, we are not actually physically restarting our actual computer. What we can do is we'll go ahead and click on to restart now. After we click on that, we'll go ahead and we'll see that Ubuntu gives us their little version of the spinning wheel of death. with please remove the installation medium, then press enter. What we're going to end up doing is we're going to go out and up here, click on the X, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead to power off the machine and go ahead and click on OK. Alright, so now that's technically doing the restart. Let's go ahead and click on start again, and the moment of truth comes. And as we can see, we're greeted with the Ubuntu login screen. Here you might see up here the virtual machine reports that the guest OS supports mouse pointer integration. We can go ahead and just close that. Let's go ahead and click on my name, put in my super duper secret password, and here we are. What's new in Ubuntu? We can go ahead and just next out of all this. I don't want to send system info, and just gives you a little bit of an idea of what all you can install. Go ahead and click on done, and there we are. Here is our Ubuntu home screen. Now up here is going to be our network. If we go ahead and click onto that, wired connected, wired settings, click on the little gear icon, and as we can see, it has given us an IPv4 address, and yeah, she's working. So as you can see, we have successfully installed Ubuntu on top of our Windows system. So I don't know about you, but for me, that's actually pretty impressive, kind of cool. If you found this video helpful, if you found it informational, go ahead, click on that like button. Go ahead and click on subscribe as well, because there's a lot more videos on the way. Thank you for viewing. I appreciate every view. And y'all take care, stay safe, and we'll be seeing y'all again here really soon in another video.